Here we are. Shalom. This is Gidon Ariel and Jason Caplan. We haven't seen each other for a while,
Yeah.
see, but we're seeing each other now.
Yes.
Is today is Thanksgiving Day over there where you're at.
It's nice and quiet. The streets are quiet. Everyone's celebrating Thanksgiving for this beautiful country, America, and all the changes it's going through.
We're celebrating, huh?
A
Summer
lot of people are
celebration.
celebrating.
I can never figure it out. As an Orthodox Jew, the
Yeah.
day starts the night before. So if you have like Christmas Eve, is that the night before or the night after? Thanksgiving Eve. When
No,
does Thanksgiving start? How do you celebrate that thing?
I think a lot of people start on Wednesday and then they go into Thursday. And then, excuse me, still have a cough. And then Christmas actually does have a Christmas Eve. That's a holiday. I don't think there's a Thanksgiving Eve.
But you just said that you when do
Yeah.
people hold their Thanksgiving dinner?
I think it's on Thursday.
On
It's
Thursday
today.
night.
Yeah, Thursday night.
So
I think I'm right about that.
by the time a holiday is over, by the time the night after a holiday in Judaism, everybody's already, oh, I can't eat another thing.
No, I know, but I think everyone thinks of Thanksgiving as a 4-day weekend. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Holy moly.
Yeah,
With all the leftovers.
with all the leftovers. It's a very nice holiday. We'll have sister-in-law, brother-in-law, little nephew come over, and we'll celebrate.
Yeah, familiar. And that's this afternoon and evening. I guess an early
Right,
evening.
right. That's when we're having it.
And
And I've had this cough. Something came in my system, so I'm glad this could be wrapping up soon. And everything else is progressing, in the world and just trying to keep track of it and hope it's a slower news cycle than it's usually been. How are you feeling over there in Israel?
we're not celebrating Thanksgiving. We do that all the time, as they say.
Yeah,
But it's tough because Netanyahu is the darling of the right,
yeah,
and the right has been, as is understandable for people on the right, conservatives. Let's finish this war off. But
yeah,
all of a sudden, really within a day, like all of a sudden in the morning, the news started talking about rumors, and by nighttime, he announced, "Okay, we're signing this." It's signed, pretty much, and everybody was talking about it being going into effect at 10 a.m. We're talking, of course, about the ceasefire agreement with Hezbollah in Lebanon.
right.
So I heard about them talking about tomorrow at 10 a.m. when I went to sleep on whatever day it was. I think maybe it was Sunday night. I don't remember. And then when I woke up at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, they said, "Oh, it went into action at 2 a.m. or midnight or
Yeah.
something like that." So it just happened.
Yeah, I've been watching BBC and some other things, and it is just amazing how immoral a lot of the political thinkers are, and how out to lunch they are in terms of let's have international law and dialogue, and all these things are the things that led to previous UN resolutions that didn't hold Hezbollah back, that completely fail over and over again. And so this idea that the Israeli government wants to say, let's just defeat a terrorist organization, that'll probably bring peace. And they're like, no, you need us to talk and make resolutions. It is amazing we're being sold that old car again.
Look, we remember the Nazis as the enemies,
Hmm.
and the Nazis, and I think that the term for Second World War was unconditional defeat,
Hmm.
unconditional surrender.
Unconditional surrender.
So
Obviously, obviously,
when did we stop talking like that?
when all these people needed a job. I mean, what else are they doing except saying that you need me to talk to this person, to talk to this person, to get the terrorists to have a ceasefire? Terrorists, I think it's called Hudna. I forgot what it's called, but in the world of jihad, you get a ceasefire in order to rearm an attack. They're not looking for a ceasefire. They're looking for a temporary chance to get their
Reload.
to reload. And everybody knows that. It's all transparent, but I don't understand the anti-Semitism, anti-Israel feeling. It just mushes people's minds into nothing. And they say things on TV that are so patently false and ridiculous. And then they say, well, history will judge the other side. I'm like, is that a confession? That's more of a confession that you know what you're saying is wrong. So it is really it's just startling to me just to see human nature and the different ways it turns.
Anyway, these are things that we have to deal with here in Israel, and people living in the new world with surrounded by oceans and similar democracies don't really have to deal
No,
with too much.
don't have to deal with it, and you can have all these intellectual pundits sitting there in England or the US saying, "Oh, Israel, killed thousands of people." I'm like, why do they use the word people? They're terrorists. They're terrorists, and the terrorists encrusted themselves and embedded themselves with civilians, and they
That's true.
still push the lie, and they do it from their little comfortable homes. And it really bothers me that they're called out. There's some people call them out like Douglas Murray, Melanie Phillips, but not so many people call them out. And then there's U.S. senators trying to block arms to Israel.
Amazing.
Of all the groups you look at in the Middle Eastern region, you're talking about blocking the arms sale to the democracy protecting civilians. Very immoral group of people.
Well, you're not getting any disagreement on that from me.
But I will say on the flip side, the courage of the young people and the generals of the IDF is just astounding. It is astounding. It is incredible. And people keep worrying about Gen X here and that they're snowflakes and all these things. I don't even know if it's true, but to see the young generation of Israel fighting for the land, fighting for freedom and morality, it's just unbelievable.
It's true, and fighting for really fighting for our survival, the survival of the state of Israel, which ultimately means the people of the state of Israel.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've never been in such a biblical world where there are hundreds of thousands of people looking for total annihilation of the Jews. And then when we dare to raise our hands in self-defense, people are like, oh, people accuse us. And it just feels like this kind of strange biblical world. And all of civilizations kind of just dropped the ball again. It's a unique thing to be a Jew.
yeah, that's what we're doing over here.
Yeah. But I am making progress in terms of building the bridges with people of like mind. We've set up our music, our universal language room in Rajasthan and Uganda, Indonesia, and now Colombia.
How do you do that?
It is really amazing. I will tell you, I've worked with two other people, my best friends, Gilbert Smith and William Ruiz, two of my closest friends. And William Ruiz is a world traveling musician. So
Say his
he's
name
been,
slowly. Willie.
oh, William Ruiz.
Okay.
He's a drummer. He's been drumming since, probably since he was a kid, but he drums professionally. And we've been friends since about 2000 or 2001. We met in the A train in New York City. Um, and we became friends. So I would say he's been my real link. I've developed a system, but he said, I'm going to introduce you to people around the world.
Wow.
And so he got me connected to people around the world who I showed my system to, and they said, "Oh, we really like this, so we'd like to be part of your system." I received funding from very supportive funders and supporters to send money to those musicians to teach the system there and to grow it. So hopefully, we're looking to go to China next. We have some introductions in China,
Amazing.
and it's amazing. So it's one of those projects that I really love because we really focus on it. Every human has invaluable worth and created in the divine image. Music is the way that we talk about it and connect to each other. And it's beautiful. It's really great.
That's wonderful. And so do you like perform together on Zoom or something like that?
There is some softwares out there that could allow you to perform together. Zoom's not one of them. Zoom's more of a meeting software.
Right.
But we certainly meet and we discuss the system and we send each other videos of us working on the system and getting better at it. So we do use Zoom and WhatsApp for that.
That's amazing. No,
Yeah.
that's what I meant. I say the word Zoom, but I mean some sort of a platform that you can perform together on, even though you're in different
Well,
places.
I'll plug the website is ULR number one, ULR1.com. And on there, you can see a lot of videos that we've posted of people teaching it or performing it using the permutation system. And then, yeah, then we have our own internal dialogue where we're trying to improve and give each other feedback. And it's really great to wake up in the morning and see a message from Rajasthan or a video, and then they say, hello to our friends in Uganda. We're working on this. And this common language of music has just been incredible to just build these bonds. Everyone's very excited about it.
Have you like been on TV yet with all of this? This is like a real nice human interest story kind of thing.
I hope it comes about. I've been on a recent podcast called Derate the Hate, and it's a great podcast. So I came on that, and we have a new documentary coming out where it was Baha'i students with Jewish students using the permutation system to talk, and was in the local synagogue here, Baron Hirsch. So we'll have that. But I hope to be interviewed and to spread the message. I've been working on this for 20 years, pretty much to the day. I started this idea about 20 years ago. So it's taken time to
Wow.
come above
Okay.
ground. Yeah, yeah. It was 2003. I had a general idea, but I really started the Universal Language Room in 2004. So I've been waiting. I've been waiting 20 years to, and this past year's done really, really well. So the 20th anniversary is when it went above ground.
Okay, that encourages me. If I have any ideas, 20 years is a good time for it to mature.
I tell myself and other people, try to find something you love failing at. Because you love failing at it and you won't get anywhere, but you love doing it. And then maybe the flip side will happen that you love being successful at it.
It's really amazing. Well,
Yeah.
are you gonna have like you're saying you are URL? URL is the name.
ULR, Universal Language
ULR
Room. Yes.
ULR1.com.
Yes. Yes. Universal Language Room. And yeah, we even made a TV show, and we're gonna have a sort of a TV sort of spy thriller about how Universal Language Room, like sort of in a spy setting. It's just kind of a fun thing. But we do have a couple of groups that we're working with in Israel. There's a Bedouin group in Zarzir near Fula.
Sure.
Yep. And then in Jerusalem, I've been in talks with Rabbi Wendy, our friend Rabbi Wendy, about teaching it to his students. So just gonna keep growing it.
Rabbi Wendy's students.
Well, Rabbi Wendy and some of his like students and people that he knows and he's really been interested in the system. We'll see if if he's able to move forward with it. But I donated some musical instruments to him I think he keeps at his synagogue or school. And it's just been great. And he's used it a couple times. So yeah, I've just got, Rabbi Wendy, just amazing person. And we should plug his book. He has a new book, right? On Bereshit and Love in Bereshit. I have to get the
In the
title
beginning or something like in the
in the
beginning is
beginning, right? In the beginning.
that's a good place to start.
Yeah. So yeah, and then as you do, I'm working with Jews and Christians and other groups, but especially in Memphis, Jews and Christians to build love for Israel. And you've been traveling. I think you did a Dallas trip recently, maybe it was the last 6 months.
And that was in May, I think.
That was in May. Yeah, last six
April
months.
or
Yeah.
May.
Hmm.
So that was a while ago. But
Yeah.
what has happened since then is that I just got the two new grandchildren.
Oh, Mazel Tov. Wow.
My older son had a boy, his third boy, and my younger son had their third child, which is their second daughter. It's a boy, girl, girl from Chaim Tzvi and
Oh,
Liel, and a boy, boy, boy with Akiva and Rivka.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And Shirarina sat this one out because she already has three kids. But those two families, this is their second child in parallel that they're having almost on the same day. The middle child they had within 24 hours, and this last pair of grandchildren they had at within a week of each other.
I think about the Jews in Mitzrayim under the slavery and still having children, still building the future, and the Jews under war, the whole world hates you. I mean, we certainly have friends, but a lot of the world hates you, and you're still having children and building. It's so beautiful. That is
Oh
awesome.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Nah, I don't think we can compare what's going on now to at least not in my family to the tragedies that of the stories that are told in Mitzrayim in Egypt, the
right.
slavery of Egypt.
No,
That was
no, not the same. But if you're a Westerner, you're going to be used to just having your life and having your amenities. And if and the Jews are mostly Westerners, but if you're living in Eretz Israel and sacrificing and giving up time and lives, I mean, on a comparative scale, I mean, it is a major major event to live in wartime. I mean, I was there in June. I was there last December. I mean, through this whole war, I've probably been in Israel for three or 4 weeks total. And even me, it affected me. So I mean, every day waking up in that and facing that, I mean, I just call a kavod to everybody.
I have to say, well, look, you see, I live here in the desert. Not much
Yeah.
happens around here,
Yeah.
but during the day, I'm one of those guys that likes to have the music on in the background.
Yeah.
And so I listen to a radio station that plays my kind of music, easy listening, as they say.
Yeah.
And it seemed, well, really, it's up until a couple of days ago, up until the ceasefire. Every day, a few times a day, there would be this like kind of the sound, and then we
Hmm.
said, in Nahariya, go to your safe rooms, and in Haifa, go to your safe rooms. And, this is happening up in the north. In other words, Hezbollah has been shooting rockets and unmanned flying vehicles or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And really, it to me every time I would hear that, I would like stiffen up. Obviously, it wasn't coming to me because
Right.
I'm hundreds of kilometers away. But really, and not to mention, of course, the people who have been displaced. And so on the radio, they've been talking about, well, now that there's a ceasefire, you're going to come home. People say, the people, they interview the mayors and some residents. They said, no, I'm not coming back yet. I want to wait until it's for sure. With all
Oh,
due respect to a piece of paper that you sign,
yeah.
that you write on, let's see if it's worth that piece of paper.
If you have to live around people practicing jihad, you're not running back to your house unless the jihadists are completely unconditionally surrendered. I mean, that's the reality that these Western so-called intellectuals don't understand or don't want to understand. But I think it's good for your listeners to understand just how challenging it is to live in Israel and that there's really no coverage of that. People don't cover Israelis in their day-to-day life. The news won't do that. And it's just important to get that story out.
It depends for whom, really. I mean, I just mentioned a little bit of stress. A teeny, for me to talk about the word stress, it doesn't happen too much. I'm a pretty type A, I think they call it. But uh, but there's a little bit of stress when that music, when that noise comes on the radio.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm doing okay. I'm in touch with my family. I do my work. I get
Yeah.
up in the morning. I spent the last few days with my new grandkids up in near Shechem.
Wow.
It's just the life. So
Yeah.
when I hear you saying how stressful, or whatever the phrase that you used, how
Yeah.
difficult it is for Jews who are living here now, I take a little bit of issue with that, because I always think, don't make it think that it's so bad here. It's really quite good.
Oh yeah, no, I mean they're just certain units and certain families, and there's certain people on the front lines, and then they're able to give people not in the front lines some aspect, a lot of aspect of normal life for sure.
Right. My
I'm just
my.
saying
But
in
on the other hand, I'm
yeah.
thinking that my son-in-law. I have one son-in-law right now.
Mhm.
He's in Gaza right now. He is a combat engineer. I think that's what it's called. In
Yeah.
regular English, that means he blows stuff up.
Yeah.
So he's doing the real thing. So
Yep.
we're praying for
Hashem
him.
protect him. Hashem protect him.
Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, I guess I mean that in the media, there's no human life story presented of Israelis, whether they're in Jerusalem going about their life or they're serving in the West Bank. It's just not covered. It's not covered at all. It's just always portrayed as Israel too strong, too successful. Don't need to talk about them, and it's strange. I don't know if I'll ever understand the anti-Israel worldview.
And good that you don't.
Exactly. So are your grandchildren a part of, are young Breslov kids? Is that the direction of your grandkids?
I've got two Breslov kids and one the opposite.
One the opposite. Okay.
One a real Rambamist.
Okay, good, good. You can
And
tell your
so
kids you can tell your kids that I'm both.
exactly.
I studied Moreh Nevuchim and Likutei Maharan. So
There you go. And
yeah,
that's really the way it's supposed to be. So I
I
get a
think so.
little bit of both also whenever they come
Yeah,
over.
that's great. Well,
And
yeah.
my son, who I just was visiting, he's the one that works for that organization of the Temple Mount.
Oh, right, right, right.
So it's called Biadenu. So they're having their annual event in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
Busy trying to bring more people there, and it's very exciting. much has happened this year in the Temple Mount very positively.
I don't know.
Yeah, the first one thing that I remember, and I'll probably mention at this event, is that when the soldiers went into the homes in the Gaza Strip, they saw in every single home an image of the tent of the Golden Dome
Oh,
of Al-Aqsa, and the Temple Mount. And they said, "We are fighting now. We should be fighting now for the temple because it's our Temple Mount."
yeah.
So that is one thing that was very strong. And at some point, I'm not sure exactly how it happened, but there was a significant easing on the on what Jews ascending the Temple Mount are allowed to do. Now,
Wow.
this of course doesn't mean that they're allowed to bring up knives and guns and God forbid anything like that. It
Right.
means that they're allowed to pray on the Temple Mount.
That was eased?
Can you imagine up until recently, the Jews who went up to the Temple Mount, religious Jews, would be followed along by Israeli police and by the Waqf agents and said,
Yeah.
"Ah, there's a Jew who's moving his lips. Ah, there's a Jew who's closing his eyes." Did
Yeah.
you
Yeah. I was
But
aware.
now we're allowed to pray and even to prostrate ourselves.
Wow. That's
To bow
big.
down completely is something that you're not allowed, a Jew is not allowed to do that anywhere in the world except on the Temple Mount. And up until recently, they weren't allowed to do it at the Temple Mount either. From time to time, there would be some kids who would like steal away and they would bow down and then they would be quickly picked up by the policeman and they would be taken for questioning or something like that. And now the
Wow.
police are just saying, okay, you can bow down now over here, like in the eastern side. It's just amazing.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really great. The whole thing was so ridiculous to begin with. This is just a
Of
wonderful
course.
development. Yeah. I heard they used to say to Tehillim by just sort of pointing at things and saying like it was like a tour, and they would say Tehillim.
Yeah, it was a cat and mouse game, but the fact that Jews, the people like my son and the people in his organization and a few other pro Temple Mount organizations are pushing the envelope,
Yeah.
not in a God forbid a violent way,
No.
but in a way to try to assert our rights. And really, when you think of people trying to assert their rights, you tell me who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
We're talking about Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King,
Hmm.
who and Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, who in a nonviolent way said, "Listen, there's no reason why we should not have rights as human beings." And one of
Yeah.
those rights as a human being is a right to pray, right to freedom of religion, and that is something that we unfortunately have to assert in our own homeland here in Israel. It's the way it works. The way it works. But I think it's happening. I'm if you know me already, then you know that I'm a positive,
Yes, it is.
optimistic kind of guy. And I think that things are going pretty well over
Nope.
here as
And
far as
you and
that's
your son. It's fantastic.
very
That's a
exciting.
huge development. I'll have to share that with my friends. I also wanted to mention that Rabbi David Sampson,
Hmm.
I've been studying with him and having some learning sessions with him
On
and
Zoom.
on Zoom. And we'll
Wait, well,
interview.
one-on-one?
Yeah.
Wow, you're a lucky guy.
He has an interest in Abuapia. And
Wow.
I found out through one of his students that visited Memphis.
Wow.
And so I asked if I could, connect with him or study with him, and he said, "Okay, it's not we don't have that much time together, but it's wonderful."
Well,
I'm
he
so
only has
grateful.
24 hours a day. I don't know how much he sleeps.
So we're gonna have him on our program called Beit Abelaf, and we're gonna interview him in a couple Sundays. So I'll send you the
Wow.
information. It'll
Please
be
do.
it'll be convenient for Israel time because he's in Israel,
Right.
and it'll be really great. We're gonna hear his thoughts on Abelaf and some of the translations he's been doing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I had dinner once with him. I was leading a tour of Root Source students and a few other people, Christians,
Yes.
and we were staying by a hotel near Kiryat Moshe, in the entrance of Jerusalem, the western entrance of Jerusalem, the main
Oh, where
entrance
he
of
lives. Yeah.
exactly. So I looked around for people who would be able to host some of our Christian tourist students for a Friday night dinner. And as soon as I heard that he was willing I
Wow.
immediately said, "Okay, I'm going," and I brought along one of my best friends from Root Source, and we
Eh,
had a lovely, lovely time. He took out I think a scroll of Esther, Megillat Esther, that he had written, and she took
wow.
a look at it, and wow, it's so amazing.
Wow.
And he was also the English teacher, believe it or not, of my kids. Two of my
Oh,
kids went to the school that he teaches, one of the schools that he teaches at or taught at here in
yeah.
Jerusalem. Yeah,
Oh,
crazy
that's
stuff.
great. That's great.
Small world.
I was able to visit with him in June. We had a family trip, but I asked if I could just get an afternoon to get over to see him, and it was a wonderful visit. He's real, to me, a real tzaddik and just such a creative, incredible teacher. So I just had about 20 minutes with him. It was wonderful.
And now you get 20 minutes with him once a week. Is that the
Oh,
way it
it's just
works?
great. It's great. We learn Abulaf, we discuss it. He gives me these insights. Incredible. I think he's gonna really I don't want to overstate it, but I think he's really gonna open up the Western world to Abulafia.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All
Thank you
right.
for the time. This has been a great session.
It always is. Thank you very, very much. And
Yeah.
we'll be in touch.
It sounds great. Much us
You
luck
have
with all
good
the
news,
work.
then don't wait for our visits.
You got it. Absolutely.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Bye bye. Happy Thanksgiving.